Good evening and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. The standard disclaimer applies for tonight's episodes. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely those of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Keep your conversations open to the public and on the level for tonight's broadcast. Tonight, as usual, if you want to interact with us, feel free to go ahead and do so by sending us a chat on the Facebook page or on our YouTube, or not on our YouTube page because we can't check that. So send us a chat on our Facebook page for episode 144, Why I Became Worshipful Master, or on our Twitter page. Tonight for introductions, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Jason Richards. I am the Worshipful Master of Acacia Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, and a member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821 in the District of Columbia. Over to you, John.
Worshipful Master.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Worshipful Master.
So, congratulations.
My wife still won't call
That's
me Master. So I had to get a bunch of guys to do it instead.
That's very kind of you. All right, my name is John Ruark, past master of the Patriot Lodge, number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia, and dialing in remotely from St. Louis, Missouri.
An undisclosed location has just been leaked. Brother Juan.
Hello, everybody. Juan Sepulveda here, member of Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in sunny 82 degrees Kissimmee, Florida. Winter will never get here. And the host of the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast.
Winter is coming, Juan. It's that global warming, man.
Sure is.
And last but not least for tonight, special guest with whom you are very well acquainted, Brother Paul Chamberlain, past master.
Yes, Brother Paul Chamberlain, past master of Greenleaf Lodge number 561, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Thanks for having me tonight, guys.
Brother Paul, it is always a pleasure. We are looking forward to learning from your experiences in the East tonight.
Yep. I'm going to try and not mention the state I live in, though. Oh, I already did, but I'm going to try and not mention any differences. It's all about being a worshipful master, nothing else.
All right, so before we get hung up on Pennsylvania again.
Yeah, what's the over-under? Like 5 minutes? 5 minutes in before he starts going into it?
Yeah, well, people just see Paul's face like on the screen. They're like, "Oh, Pennsylvania, trigger warning."
10% of Masons in the United States.
That's true, and they all do it weird. So, need to mention that you've heard this over the past month or two, but tonight's episode is sponsored by Edgar Alejandro of Masonic Revival. They do a lot of really cool stuff. Edgar made a tie for my officers, which is absolutely incredible. He does ties, lapel pins, and a lot of really cool jewelry geared toward the younger Masons. So check out MasonicRevival.com. He does a lot of amazing stuff. If you want to go ahead and buy something, enter the code TMR into the cart at the end, and you'll qualify for free shipping. Really exciting. We're looking forward to working with Brother Edgar for the foreseeable future. Isn't it time for Masonic Revival, John?
Yes, it is. And you know what? I never leave home without it. Look at that. A traveling man always comes prepared.
Love it. Moving on to Masonic news. John, you're into Legos, aren't you?
I like Legos.
So
who doesn't
don't you
like
talk
Legos?
about this awesome thing with Legos that Chris Hodap shared?
Yeah, so this is really exciting that Chris Hodap actually updated his blog for the first time in a couple weeks. So we've been a little dry on Masonic news, and that's okay because that means no Grand Lodge has done anything reprehensible lately. However,
That we know about.
that we know of, that's been public yet. But this is really exciting that Lego has their own area where you can create and share your creations, and more importantly, they have a campaign which is brilliant from a marketing / social networking perspective, where you can actually post your creations and then encourage others to sponsor it, like it, that kind of thing, such that it becomes an official production line from Lego. So it's a really creative marketing way of how Lego can, one, drive more traffic to its site, and two, make sure that it's something that people will want to buy. The good news is that a brother, I assume a brother, has created the House of the Temple, which is the headquarters of the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction in downtown DC. I've been there a couple times, and a brother created a nice Lego representation of this. So the goal is to go to the Lego Ideas site and support this effort. Downside is you have to create an account to log in to then support it. It's a headache. It's a headache. You have to, allow Lego to spam you with emails later. But you know what? I did it. I bit the bullet. Account if you have to. But already they've surpassed one of their first milestones, which gave them an additional year, 365 days. So now there's 420 days left as of this airing to get 1,000 or 10,000 sponsors or likes.
All right, we're losing you there, brother. The good thing is, like, who doesn't like Legos, right?
Oh, I agree completely.
Even if you sign up, you'll get you'll stay in the know with the Lego.
Walmart or...
There he is.
Yep.
There we go.
And plus, I mean, the House of the Temples, the architecture, I mean, so many Masonic structures. You could really have a whole Lego set of Masonic structures. And, between the George Washington Memorial, the House of the Temple, there's plenty of Grand Lodge buildings that would be fun to build, I guess. So it's really great that somebody did that, and I'd like to see a lot of brothers go out and support that.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
It's something that's really cool. Go ahead, John.
That's it. I love it. Keep doing it.
Awesome. Hey, Juan, did you have some Masonic news for us?
I did. I don't have a picture to show you just yet, but by the time that most of the brothers listen to this, we will be unveiling the official Masonic Roundtable fan shirt. Can you believe it?
T-shirt.
Yes.
And T-shirt. Love it.
Yeah, so it's going to be available. Actually, I'm going to proclaim that if you go to thewindingstairs.com/TMR shirt, you're going to have to give me 30 minutes after the show ends so I can make that link live. You can go ahead and get it. Just to let you know, all proceeds from it go straight to the show. So it helps us get a better microphone for Nick, especially. I mean, it helps us keep the show current. We've seen some fluctuations with the quality or consistency of some of the systems that we use to communicate, and we've had to resort to other means. And we don't want to be vulnerable to just be on one platform. So this kind of helps us be able to provide content without any interruption and make sure that we have everything necessary so that the quality is very good. So if you can go to thewindingstairs.com/TMR shirt, you'll see the design, and that link will also show you some of the future designs that I'll put together for the show. So if you can help us support the show, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you so much for doing that, Juan. If you all haven't taken a look at Juan's T-shirt designs, he's got a whole slew of them on the Winding Stairs and Amazon, and they're fantastic. I actually have a couple of them, and they're great shirts, great designs, and I'm really, really excited that we have a brother like Juan who is making these designs for younger Masons like me, because it's just something that really appeals to me. I love it.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I designed them from the premise, I want to make something that I would wear. And there are so many designs out there.
So when is the TMR bikini coming out?
That is very soon.
Okay,
we're
great.
we're signing people up for the runway show.
Yeah.
So,
It'll take place in Pennsylvania.
yeah.
Worshipful Paul is the judge.
I'm the model. What?
Oh, okay. No. You can have your cake and eat it too. That's fine.
What's
All right. Anyway, brethren, it is just about time for everybody's favorite trivia show, the Masonic Monday question on Tuesday. And since Nick's not here tonight, I finally get to use my mixer for something cool. I'm so proud of myself. I'll just go ahead and read the question. It's a long one. But the Masonic Monday question on Tuesday for the week of December 5th is the question of the magnitude of alchemical influence upon or in American Webb work is contentious. For all Webb gave us, neither he nor his disciples commented on the origin of their symbolic choice, or how the symbols related within the context of the Webb system. However, within the systems of the Masonic Illuminist movement, specifically as expressed in what is the Husgrad Masonry, the influence of a multitude of alchemical systems and thought was and remains an established fact. One such rite was the rite Écossaise philosophique. In this system, one finds a degree that is styled in academy and is presided over by three main officers, the most wise, senior, and junior surveillants or sages. The academy is illuminated by 3 candles, but the primary source of visible light is an ignited mixture of wine, mercury, and salt. The dominant colors are black, white, and red, the walls draped in black, with columns draped in red and white. The gloves and cordons of the officers are white, black, and red, these correlating to the common alchemical stages of nigredo, albedo, and rubido. The candidate circumambulates the academy 3 times, first in a circle, then in a square, and lastly a triangle, which in this system have interplayed references to Hiram, Christ, and the triune nature of the grand architect, again with common alchemical context. And yes, the question's not over yet. The tracing board, lectures, and catechism of this degree include additional and direct references to alchemical derived principally through Hermetic and, this is what I get for not reading this before the show,
Paracelsian.
What is it, John?
Paracelsian.
Paracelsian, great thought, and includes a list of approved sources of instruction including Hermes, Arnold de Villeneuve, Raymond Lully, Faber, Basil Valentine, Berard Count of Trevisan, Flamel, the Philalethes, the Cosmopolitan, and Michael Mayer. Your 2 questions for the Masonic Monday questions on Tuesday are, number 1, what was the name of this degree, either in French or English? And question 2, for an Écossaise system, what common Masonic color is conspicuous by its absence? When you figure out the answers, send your name along with your lodge and affiliation to masonicmonday@gmail.com with the hashtag Worshipful Master. I wonder why Nick chose that one. Do not post the answer to Facebook or email it to the TMR email address, because you'll make us all cry if you do that. And since I didn't do this beforehand, I'll go ahead and say congratulations to the winners of last week's MMQOT for the, actually it was 2 weeks ago. It was November 21st. So congratulations to William Nair, Justin Miller, Christopher Croto, Chris Boyce, Mark Wallen, Art Ingersoll, Mark Robbins, Blake Miles Leach, Alex Powers, Jason McKean, and Dale Allen. The question was, with which university was the first Shriners Hospital partnered? The answer is University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas. So great. Send your stuff in. We love hearing from you.
And it's not a comic book hashtag. For once.
No, it's not. So moving into tonight's topic, why I became Worshipful Master. I don't know why we're talking about this.
Because you neglected to bring up the biggest news of the weekend in Masonic news, which is...
Finally, I've been plugging it for 3 months now. Yes, I am Worshipful Jason Richards of Acacia Lodge. I was elected and installed last week and had a really good time. If you haven't had a chance to check out the installation video, it's up on the TMR Facebook page. We've got over 1,000 views so far, which is awesome. So the quality came out really, really great. Special thanks to John and our intern, Mike Hambrecht, who worked all the sound for it. And they did an absolutely fantastic job. So if you take a look at it, you'll see a bunch of TMR alumni out there. Don McAndrews was actually my installing officer. And for those of you who haven't actually seen Don do ritual, he's a phenomenal ritualist and a lot of fun. And then I also had Matt Botts pinch hitting for a Tyler for me. So we had a really great time. Had some brethren from out of state, Zachary Plunkett, Andre Beliveau, and of course Mike Heimbrecht down here. So it was a great time. Had a lot of fun, and I get to call the shots in Lodge now, which is pretty exciting. And
you had a very handsome installing chaplain too, by the way.
Oh, I did. Yes. Brother John Ruark prayed with the best of them. So we had a great time, and I just want to thank everybody for coming out, especially my parents as well as my wife and in-laws. They all came out, and I think it was the first time actually my parents and in-laws had ever been to anything Masonic, which is pretty cool.
I had the good opportunity to talk to a few of them after the ceremonies were over, and they were impressed by the decorum, so that's good. Masonry left a good impression on them.
Yay, baby steps. All right. It's not a cult. Yes. Awesome. So we're going to start off the discussion tonight with just kind of the question of motivating factors and motivations. Well, why would someone give up multiple years of their life in service to an organization just to sit in the hot seat and go to a bunch of extra meetings and spend time away from your family, taking care of a lodge? And so what I'd like to do is go around the room and start off with John and just say, what were some of your motivations for doing this, and where or how did your journey to Masonic Masterdom go? How many years did it take you, and then why did you go ahead and pursue it that way?
Sure, thanks, Jason. So this was a fan submitted question, and it really generated. It became from a genesis of us complaining about past masters and how much work it is and how exhausted you feel when it's done. So the question is, why do it in the first place? If you know it's gonna be a rough year, why do it? So for me personally, I jump in with both feet in everything that I do. I try to, if there's something that I'm committing to, I'm all in. I don't half commit to things. And so when I started with Masonry, as far as ascending to the East goes, one thing I was really impressed upon early on was to respect the chair, meaning that it is an honor to sit in the East and serve as Worshipful Master, which is the president equivalent of your lodge. And I was also told that with those aspirations, there are many men or brothers who try to go there just to rush to the East. And if you want it, in so many words, you're unworthy of it, because you should be more humble and be thankful for the opportunity to serve rather than try to rush into that. Whether or not you believe that statement, that's the impression that was laid upon me as a new Master Mason. So when I was when I was young and full of zeal in the fraternity, I was honored to be suggested by an officer of the lodge to sit in as junior deacon of my mother lodge. And so, again, conversation regarding progressive lines goes, being put in as junior deacon is at least a 5-year commitment. I've even heard it's a 10-year commitment, because it's moving up 5 seats from junior deacon and then continue to nominate those 5 seats behind you. So it's a 10-year commitment to the leadership of the lodge. So I was humbled and honored, and I said, sure, I'll fill in wherever you need me, but still didn't realize what I got myself into. Unfortunately, by the time I had moved up to, I believe, senior deacon, I had to recuse myself and get out of line in my mother lodge, because my work had moved, and I didn't know if I'd have the time commitment because my work had moved further away. However, I found myself quickly helping out the Patriot Lodge get chartered and formed, and then resume my labors by jumping right into line there. So, in summary, why did I choose to continue on to the East at that point? There's a couple motivating factors for me. It does help with Masonic credence. Although we're all on the level, some are more on the level than others.
Well, that's why we have so many of them in Freemasonry.
There's your line. There's so many levels. And so being a past master, I don't agree with it, but I could see in some circumstances where it does give you more respect, especially in terms of things like Masonic law, Masonic jurisprudence. I guess it's because you had to have at least understood parts of your laws to be in that situation. In Virginia, it just means that you can memorize ritual, but nonetheless,
you have a pulse.
You've earned that term. You've served, and so for some reason or another, you get a little bit of Masonic credence. The other benefit for me was it's not just the East, but after the East, then you can continue as a past master to give guidance to the officers behind you, like I alluded to earlier. And so as a past master, you now have experienced leadership in the lodge, and so you can give back and say, back in my year, but not really, that there are lessons that I learned that I want to share so that others don't have to go through the same failings that I did. And then I'll admit the last thing I wanted to mention before I hand it off is the title is kind of nice. The way I caveat it is that the title is nice, the title of Worshipful Master, which I'll keep for the rest of my life. It's humbling and forever. In fact, I'm humbled every time I hear it, reminding me of my obligation as master to be honorable, to be respectful, and again, for those who haven't Googled it yet, worshipful is an archaic term that really is more for the honorable person. So when you introduce
worthy of respect.
So when you introduce yourself as worshipful, that ticked me off. But because you shouldn't refer to yourself as honorable. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But every time
I have narcissism in Masonry.
But I'm humbled every time I hear it. So that's my short version of why I continued on to the East.
Awesome, John. Brother Paul, what were some of your motivating factors? You're a past master of the jurisdiction which shall not be named. How did you get into it? How many years did it take you, and why did you do it?
Sorry, you guys can hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, sorry. So I didn't get in it to be master per se. I didn't say, you know what, I want to be master. What I said was, I want to be an officer in my lodge. I know we don't like to talk about jurisdictional differences, but one of the big things in where I am is the degrees are done by one officer. Jonathan knows exactly what I'm talking about. One person confers our degrees. It's not there's a lecture from here and there's a lecture from there and this person does that. And where my jurisdiction, one person does the degrees. And that's really what interested me at first, was getting to learn those degrees and doing those degrees. But and as in my lodge and in pretty much all well-regulated lodges, if you join the line, you know where you're going at the end of the line. So I joined I was raised in 2008. I had a chair when we came back from going dark over the summer, which was interesting because my first official meeting as an officer of my lodge, I was the pursuant, which is not a position a lot of lodges have, but the main job the pursuant has is to admit people in and out of the lodge room. And so he typically doesn't have much to do except he tiles the lodge at the beginning of the meeting, or he admits visitors. And so my first meeting, I had the pleasure of admitting and doing the ritual of admitting the Right Worshipful Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania, because it was his official visit. So that was a fun way to jump right into ritual and everything. Are you still there? Yeah, you're there. And as I went through, I just really was excited to as I got to know the guys and saw what the master did, I was excited to do it. Like Jonathan said, it is the title is kind of nice. There's no fronting that. It's kind of nice to worshipful. When you say good evening, brethren, and they respond back, good evening, worshipful master, and they're all looking at you. It's nice. Look, I'm an only child. I crave attention. It doesn't hurt me when everyone's looking at me. So, I did it to serve, and I'm glad I did it. And I look forward to. I frankly am going to do it again at some point once my kids are older. But the main reason I did it was just to kind of get the full experience and to be the main star of the show, if you will.
No, awesome. That makes a lot of sense, Brother Paul.
So I'm hearing it's best for those with big egos.
Yes.
Jason, there's some truth to that. Speaking of big egos, Jason.
Yes. Yeah. Y'all are loving my likeness behind me. It's so meta. I've like got both of me looking at the camera right now. As far as I'm concerned, I fell into line very much along the same lines as Brother Paul. I didn't want to be master. I wanted to be an officer, and I wanted to serve my lodge as an officer. So for me, I actually went in straight as senior deacon. I jumped the junior deacon's chair because at the time I was doing shift work at work. That was about the time that we got TMR started, actually. And I said, look, I want to serve the lodge. Our worshipful master at the time was, or our incoming master at the time was very insistent, Brother Larry. And he said, I'm not taking no for an answer. I said, well, I work crazy hours, rotating shifts. I'm not going to be at everything. I'm not going to be at nearly everything. But what I can promise to do is I can promise to communicate with you and let you know exactly when I'm going to be there and when I'm not. And for some reason, he said, okay. And so I hopped in as senior deacon and just started coming to lodge, whenever I could, helping out with degrees whenever I could. And that open communication that Larry kind of fostered in the lodge that year had a really big impact on me. And the good that he did in the lodge with helping pay down our debt had a big impact on me as well. Realizing that, the master's seat is really a chair where you can make a lot of difference. You're not going to, carry out these sweeping changes that are going to, completely change the face of Masonry as you see it. I'm going to leave that up to Andre Beliveau to do instead with Port Jervis. Generally speaking, though, you're just looking for small ways to make life for your lodge and your community around your lodge better. At least that's what I'm trying to do. So as I progressed through the chairs, I started thinking about, what can we do as a lodge to make things better for each other, for our community around us. I've harped on the Clifton community, saying, they're really one of the main reasons why we exist. They are the main reason why we exist in a lodge building today. And so I've been working on trying to figure out ways to give back to the community and, increase kind of our own visibility in the community. And that's one of the things that I'm focusing on this year as master. But I really, above everything else, I became master this year, not because it was my turn, not because I liked the title. Title's cool and all, but I still feel weird when people call me worshipful. I came to the East to be first servant. My goal is to lift up everybody in my lodge around me and lift up the community in which we reside. And if I can do that, if I can make things a little bit better for everybody else, and communicate with everybody, throughout the year, just like Larry did, then I'm leaving the lodge in better shape than I found it in. And let me tell you, it was in pretty darn good shape when I got it from Brother Jim. So for me, it's just a way that I can be the ultimate servant to my friends, my family, and my brethren, just because these folks have given me so much. I'm just really happy to be able to serve them, keep things running, and ultimately lead them in a better Masonic experience throughout this year. So we've heard from 3 perspectives so far on, motivating factors for becoming Worshipful Master. Now we're going to segue a little bit into the fact that, being a Worshipful Master isn't necessarily for everybody, or at least for everybody at every time. So wanted to hand it over to Juan to say, Juan, you haven't necessarily jumped both feet first into the officer's line yet. What are some of your reasons for not wanting to do that, or at least wanting to wait?
Well, I do have to correct you on the fact that I haven't jumped on it. I did jump into the officer line very early in my Masonic career.
My mistake.
That's okay. Don't let it happen again. Worshipful.
Yes, sir, brother.
And that's the reason why I can't be a master of the lodge, because I'll be saying dumb stuff like that to people and offending people left and right. But no, the thing is this: me joining Masonry almost coincided with the birth of my children and some big changes in the financials of my household. My wife has a very good job, and it's very demanding. It's a job that has many benefits, but just like any position in the executive board or near that area, it's going to have big demands on the people. So I had to recognize that being the master of the lodge was not going to be something that I could do to the best of my ability with all of those responsibilities on my shoulders. But when I joined initially, I did see the officer line as something that I was interested in. I'm not very good at sitting idly by. I like to take charge. I like to make decisions. I like to have a voice, and I like to be informed. And I saw that being part of the officer line was an opportunity for me to be an active participant in the shift of the lodge, which is something that I recognized had to happen.
Awesome, Juan. That's really good context, and it's really awesome to to put those priorities ahead of you like you did. I just think that's fantastic. I think there are so many times when Masonry is a really great thing to do, and it's a lot of fun, and sometimes Masons overcommit to the detriment of the other pieces of their lives. And so for a Mason like you, who's just so thoughtful and so meticulous as far as putting his priorities together and walking the walk, I just think that's something that a lot of Masons could learn from your example on, to say, look, you may want to do this, you may want to do everything, but frankly, there are plenty of reasons why you shouldn't, at least not right now. And so you've created an example for others to follow, which is really neat.
And it did take some nudging. At the time, I didn't quite see it because, like some brothers that I respect, I see that excitement. You join in and you want to do everything. You want to be a part of everything. You want to take on all these responsibilities. I had that same zeal. I really wanted to be a part of everything. And I started coming to the realization that there were unknowns. There were a lot of unknowns as part of being an officer. And it was naive of me to think that I could take on all these things and be very effective at it. I didn't want to commit to something and then disappoint everybody. Even if I had the potential, if I couldn't execute, the potential means nothing. So for brothers who first join the fraternity and they have a leadership spirit in them, yes, consider being a part of the officer line, but inform yourself as best as possible as to the toll that's going to take, the time it's going to take, and the importance of you having an organized life in order for it to be an effective decision.
No, completely agree, Juan. And actually, when I originally joined the line as senior deacon, actually the Worshipful Master, before Larry had asked me to be in the line as junior deacon, I just said I can't. Starting shift work, and I've got the wife to take care of. I can't devote the time, because I can't get myself to the point where I'm being detrimental to the growth of the brethren in the lodge, because if I try to do everything, I'm going to do everything very poorly. And when I joined as senior deacon, I'm like, okay, I am doing this to help somebody out, and I'm probably just going to jump out the next year. And Nick and Jim kindly grabbed me and said, actually, we would really, really like you to stay, / you're doing it either way. So, and it's worked out well so far. We'll see what happens when the baby comes. But kind of switching gears, it's really neat talking or hearing everybody talk about their experiences. We know we've got brethren listening and watching who are going through those same battles of, do I, don't I, as far as jumping into line and becoming Worshipful Master. So I wanted to go around the horn again, starting with John, to say, what advice can you give a Mason who is looking at the decision of whether or not to jump in line, with the specific goal of eventually ascending to the East and becoming master of his lodge?
Yeah, I come up with this as my final thoughts, but I think it's more apropos to do it now. For those Masons who are fathers, and for those who are about to be, serving in the East is like having a baby. You're never ready. You can read every book on the topic, but it doesn't prepare you for actually doing it. It'll cost more than you think, and you'll even get crapped on. But you do get to see the results of your labor. You'll be happy with the experience, and you even get to leave your lodge in good hands when your time has come to let it go, with a smile on your face, a happy heart, and a tear in your eye.
That sounded pre-scripted.
I just wrote it. It's good.
Well, yeah.
That's meme-worthy right there.
Brother Paul, you still here with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm having technical difficulties. but I'm still
Can you
here. More
talk and
power
troubleshoot?
difficulties.
There you go.
I'm here. I would say, as master, if you're looking to be a master, just understand exactly what the commitment is, because there's all kinds of variations on that commitment. Like, what ritual do you need to know? Do you need to know all your charges plus all your degrees plus all the business of the lodge? What exactly do you need to be responsible for? Can you do all that stuff? If something crazy happens in lodge, do you know how to handle it? Because it's going to be on you. Your time commitment. As in my district, there's 2 silly seasons as a worshipful master. There's March and April, which is official visitation season, which means our district deputy expects all the worshipfuls to go to all the other official visits with him. And then there's October, November, which is banquet season. So every Saturday in October, every Saturday in November, plus the second Monday in November, or first Monday in November, you have a banquet to go to. So, what are your time commitments you're looking at? And, I can't beat Jonathan's baby analogy. That was brilliant, because that is really the truth. It's a lot of work, and you will get crapped on. Hopefully you have a good mommy or secretary. And, shout out to Robert H. Hoffman, the 3rd past master, best secretary in the business as far as I'm concerned. And he certainly helped me and all the masters at Greenleaf. But just be ready to work, but just enjoy it. If you're not gonna have fun up there, why are you gonna do it? I'll tell anyone who wants to listen, and even those who don't want to listen. The one thing I miss about being master is I miss running my meetings. Running my meetings was the best part of being master. The way we run our meetings, I have a lot of work to do. When I went and gave a talk at Jonathan's Lodge, I was amazed that he got to sit down, because masters in Pennsylvania do not sit down. But it was, we have a lot of, running and gunning, but I do miss that. But I don't miss it when my kids are both being pains in the butt, and my wife is like looking at me like, "You're not leaving. There's no way you're leaving." And she's right. There's no way I'm leaving, because now I don't have to. But when I did, it was worth it. And like I said, I will do it again when my kids are older.
Awesome. Yeah. For me, as far as advice is concerned, one of the best pieces of advice that I can give anybody who's looking at jumping in the chair is check the ego at the door. You're not there to gain a title. You're not there to be eligible to become district deputy grand master. You're there to serve your brethren. You're there to lead your lodge, and you're there to make a difference. The flip side to that, the other piece of advice I'd give is choose your battles and pick them wisely, because you're going to have them. As worshipful master, I have already had them, sitting in the chair for fewer than 3 days now. Do some introspection, figure out what you can and can't live with, and only fight the battles that really matter. And know when to defer to someone else's expertise, know when to delegate, which is very difficult for me, as John has found out over the past couple of years, and especially this past week. Just be there to serve. Put your ego and your expectations at the door, and realize that you might have grandiose ideas of what you want to get accomplished. But the fact of the matter is, you won't accomplish everything you want to unless you set the bar really low. And the moment you walk out that door on your installation day and your successor gets elected and installed, you're done. You're a past master, and you can help guide and mentor and make snide remarks from the sidelines, but it's not your show anymore. And it doesn't matter if you did the greatest job of setting something up in the world. If it's not a priority for the next master, then it's not going to get done. So try not to take too much personally and too much personal invested. Don't invest yourself too terribly much in your ideas and your actions, just because you're there for a finite period of time. And if you get them done, then great. but there's no guarantee that they're going to continue on when your successor gets elected and installed. That's part of part of what happens when you're operating as a benevolent dictatorship. So, Juan, what advice do you have as far as brethren who aren't sure whether or not they want to or are able to devote their time to their lodge in this kind of manner?
Yeah, I would say for them to listen to the voice of reason. There are a lot of brothers that will share their opinion. Make sure that you listen to all sides. There will be brothers that remember their year in the East very fondly. Brothers that absolutely hated it. Try to mine for data. Try to find information like, why was it unpleasant for some? Why was it such a delight for others? Having those details at hand before you make the decision to join the officer line and make that commitment to lead your lodge to the next place. Have all those things in mind. Also remember that there are people affected by your commitments. These are not decisions that you should take lightly, and I think that you should consider the people in your life. I've seen some strife. I've seen some marriages go through trouble. I've seen brothers who have missed some very important moments in their children's life, and there is a sacrifice. There's no victory without sacrifice. So if you want to enjoy the victory of sitting in the East and coming out the other end unscathed, there will be sacrifices. So I think it's important for you to go in knowing consciously what it's going to be. There's a part of me that regrets not continuing on the line. I joined as a junior steward and was promoted to senior steward the same year. And then I went to the junior deacon, and I was really looking forward to being senior deacon. And it just wasn't going to happen for me. So I think if my math serves me right, I would have been master this year, but I have to go back and look. But I don't regret it, considering how busy I am, how many things I have going on with my family. Could I have been the leader that my lodge needed at this time? And I don't know. I'll never know. I mean, but I do want to eventually get back in the officer's line, and if the brothers find me worthy to lead from the East.
And Juan, whenever you end up doing that, I think you are going to do a great job.
Thank you.
If nothing else, it's going to be on your terms, and that's going to be awesome. You're going to be able to devote so much time to it, and you're going to be a great master one day. Moving on to social media, we're going to start with Brother RJ Hughes, who actually has a Facebook group. I'm trying to pull it up here. Called Worshipful Masters - Class of 2017. It's a group that he set up earlier this year for worshipful masters or brethren who are worshipful master in 2017, just to bounce ideas off of each other and whatnot. So if you're thinking about coming to the East, go ahead and check out our Facebook page. It's buried kind of deep down in the comments, but he says, unable to watch live tonight, but I'll be installed as master on December 19th, barring catastrophe. Funny how that works. If you had told me 3 years ago, right after I joined Freemasonry, that I'd be volunteering for a leadership position that required so much confidence in public speaking, I would have laughed at you. To me, it's only to give as much back to my lodge as possible, and also for personal growth. This is and will be over the coming year the hardest thing I've ever done. Which is pretty sobering, but also pretty neat at the same time. Brother Andre Belliveau, who's Worshipful Master of Port Jervis Lodge up in New York, has a question for everybody, and he says, he asks, what are your thoughts on the role/impact that past masters should have on the lodge and its current sitting master?
I think that given how fresh the information is for that brother stepping down from the East, he should be right there to support the upcoming Worshipful Master. Uh, and it all comes back to the membership numbers. If you don't have enough brothers, uh, that whole officer progression is incredibly stressful on the people that step up to the plate. So one thing you see on these is that they become masters, serve their year, and then they disappear. So that I don't think that happens if there's enough brothers to carry the load of the lodge. So I hope that if you step down from the East, you're there to support the upcoming Worshipful Master, but have the same respect for that chair and still support, not overpower. That's
Yeah, I'd like to build on that. This is going to be hyperbolic, but it's going to prove a point. Don't speak unless spoken to. Too often, I do see. I mean, it's good. I want you there if you're a past master of the lodge to be there when I need you. But even today, I mean, you'll still see past masters that will stand up and give unsolicited advice, and you allow them to speak out of courtesy, and then they go on and on and on, and then on and on and on some more, and so you've given them an inch and they take a mile, and so
That's why you have a gavel.
and I see many worshipful masters hold back on the gavel out of respect for those who came before him. So, and my advice to past masters in the dealings of the lodge is to be there, and only there when and only speak when spoken to.
So for me, I will openly admit that I'm very, very, very lucky at Acacia, because our past masters at Acacia are wonderful men who are typically rather reserved and just have kind of the best interests at the lodge, or of the lodge at heart. And they're, for all intents and purposes, many of them are very good at checking their egos at the door. But I'm leaning on them in huge, huge ways this year. You know, I've got two past masters who are in my line coming through a second time, and it's my junior warden and senior deacon, and you know, I'm leaning on them heavily. I've got another couple of our past masters who are going to be, you know, helping our senior warden step up when my kid comes in January. So, you know, for me, I'm very, very comfortable leaving Acacia in the hands of its past masters, just because they're such genuinely good people and they're down to earth, and all they want to do is serve the lodge. So they've really got that servant leadership mentality, which I think is critical to being a good officer. You know, you can be an officer and have all the dreams and all the plans you want, but if you aren't, you know, first servant first, then frankly you're a bad officer, because you're going to place your personal desires over what will really benefit the lodge. But that is a tangent that I will, and a soapbox that I will step off of at this point. Brother Scott Sherman, glad to have him with us tonight, said, you know, I was raised in February 1981. I was the best of the four of us on learning our ritual, so I was chosen to be the entertainment for the fraternal visit of our district deputy grand master. There were 20 lodges in the two halves of the 5th district then. Most came that night. You know, here I was, a new master mason, doing the answers in front of 100 masons. Afterward, the DDGM called on me and said that I had such a great job that if my lodge did not ask me to become an officer, then the masters of the 19 other lodges would want me in their lines. Later that evening, the senior warden came to me and asked me to accept an appointment as junior steward for the next year. 5.5 years later, I became Worshipful Master for the first time when I was 28 years old, and did not know what I did not know. So really, really interesting. Really good discussions today from social media. But we are getting to the point now where time's running short. So I'll ask us to go around the room, starting with Brother Paul, and give our final thoughts and shameless plugs. Boston Brewing Company.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, great. So shameless plugs, yeah. Sam Adams, drink it. It's great stuff. On the serious topics, you know, one of the thoughts the main thought I just want to leave you with, if you guys are on the fence about something, something we're told, and I think is great, is the man doesn't seek the office seeks the man. And that's basically it. If you're just going after it because you want to go after it, and you want to have a snazzy lapel pin, and you want to have a cool different ring, that's not where you're the wrong man for the job. And you know, that's as simple as that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. We are really, really happy to have you on. Brother Juan, final thoughts.
Well, I do look forward to the day that I can rejoin the officer line. It's very clear to me today that I don't think this is the year. But when it does, I'll be happy to serve if called upon to do so. And I encourage brothers to, you know, support the brothers who are sitting in the East. You know, it's very stressful, for what I hear, position to be in, and there's a lot to be done. So if you don't feel that you're carrying your own load, please offer some assistance. Make sure that you're doing your part. When all the pieces are working together for the common goal, the results are better than when nobody does their part. So thank you, brothers, for listening, for participating. And if you enjoy what we do, let us know. If there's something that we do that you don't like it so much, let us know too. We'd like to get this show to continue to improve. We don't want to get too complacent with where it's at. And also, like we mentioned earlier in the show, the t-shirt for the Masonic Roundtable is going to be available on thewindingstairs.com/TMR shirt. Go get yours and wear it proudly. Thank you, brothers.
Awesome. Brother John Ruark.
I can't wait. I am a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy, so I can't wait for my personal TMR shirt. Let's see. So
I'm gonna buy two.
I think I can't top my baby analogy, but I will say that my piece of advice to all those who are on their way to the East and all those who are currently in the East, and especially to Jason Richards, go out and crush it. It's exciting to be there. It's your year. Go take the bull by the horns and make it awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, John. As for me, you know, my two pieces of advice stand. You check the ego at the door and pick your battles, and just try to make small incremental improvements. Because the thing that I'm trying to focus on for Master is, you know, small sustainable changes. Inserting education into every meeting, increasing our presence in the community. You know, this isn't rocket science, and this isn't going to change the face of the fraternity as we know it. But my hope is that I'll get it to the point where it becomes tradition and becomes an easy tradition to uphold, and people will start doing it without even thinking. And, you know, if I'm able to insert one or two little things into the Masonic experience that benefits our brethren in our community and keep those going after I'm long gone, then I've done good. And I've done what I'm supposed to do as Master, which is, you know, take care of my brothers and take care of my lodge. So, you know, being Master isn't for everybody, and you shouldn't feel like, you know, it's something you absolutely have to do. Unfortunately, in this fraternity today, there's a lot of weight put on being Master, and it's just like, well, you know, it's kind of like having kids. It's just what you do, man. But it's not really for everyone, and you shouldn't feel like it has to be for you if it's something that you're not comfortable with or not interested in. Now, there's a healthy level of discomfort with any, leadership position. It's a risk you have to take, but you know if it's something you're good for or something you're not. So listen to your inner voice. Don't let people pressure you into to the line or to the chair, just because it does take a lot of time, and you don't want to get to the point where you resent the fraternity for imposing all of these time constraints on you. Make sure that it's in your heart that it's what you want to do, and really follow your heart on that. Weigh the cost and the benefit. And if it's something you end up deciding that you want to do, then congratulations, and that's great. Pursue it with fervency and zeal. Don't be a jerk. Check the ego at the door, pick your battles, and have a lot of fun, because from what I've been told, it's over just like that. And then you're a past master, and you're like, well, wow, there's another thing I wanted to do in my year that didn't get done. So with that, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Go to the Winding Stairs and order a TMR t-shirt, because they're going to be awesome, because Brother Juan does amazing work. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, let us know how we're doing. Keep sending in requests for topics, because we love those. We've got a couple topics in the queue coming up that are specifically based off of listener suggestions. So those are part of our bread and butter of how we come up with the shows. So thank you all so much for watching. We hope you've had a great time tonight, and keep searching for more light.